You are tuned in to the Faithful Sinners and this episode of Faithful Friday. Hey, welcome back, friends, to the Faithful Sinners, where imperfect stories meet perfect grace. On this episode of Faithful Friday, we reflect back on our topic from Sinful Sunday and not just going through situations or challenges, but going towards or to our true destiny. And as I went through my week, I did my very best to keep this front of mind as I dealt with financial responsibilities or vehicle issues and the several complications that go along with divorce. And my week was not easy. And oftentimes I found myself only finding a way forward by slowing down and communicating my thoughts and concerns directly with God through prayer. So none of us are alone on our journeys, nor are we anywhere near perfect in our actions, but keeping our true north set on where we are going to can get us through almost anything that we may face. Now, our Faithful Friday episode today was actually inspired by a dear friend who's wrestling with a familiar tension that we all deal with, and that's deciding what to carry with him on this journey and discerning when it's right to take a stand on what we choose to leave behind. So today, we're actually talking about something every one of us brings along, not in our hands, but in our hearts. And that's baggage. Now, it's not the kind with wheels, it's the kind with memories, mistakes, expectations, and old identities stuffed inside. And scripture actually has a lot to say about what we carry and what we're called to leave behind. In Luke 10:4, Jesus sends his disciples out with a strange instruction. He says, carry no money bag, no knapsack, no sandals. It's actually almost humorous because imagine being told to go on a trip with nothing, no bags, no backup plan, no just in case items. But Jesus wasn't teaching poor packing habits. He was teaching dependence. He was teaching focus. He was teaching freedom from unnecessary weights. Because the more we carry, the slower we move. And the heavier the load, the harder the obedience. And Jesus knew something we forgot. Most of what we pack, we never really needed. Let's make a distinction that truly matters. Burdens are the things life hands us: grief, illness, responsibility, seasons of struggle. We don't choose them, we don't pack them, they arrive. But baggage is actually what we pack ourselves. It's our guilt or our narratives, our failures, our old versions of ourselves, or old expectations from people who don't even walk with us anymore. And for clarity, not all baggage is bad because guess what? We need socks or we need shirts, we need toiletries. But human nature is simply to overpack. We stuff our emotional suitcase with the just in case fears or the just in case insecurities or just in case memories, just in case shame. And only after the trip, only after the season has gone by, do we unzip the bag and realize half of this stuff we should have just left at home. But think about the last time you traveled. You packed for every possible scenario, and I do this myself. You know, I'm packing for rain, cold, heat, a fancy dinner, workout, the apocalypse. Then you get home and realize that you just wore the same two outfits the entire trip. Well, life is the same way. We carry things just in case that God never asked us to carry. We carry our old wounds just in case we get hurt again. We carry our old identities just in case people expect us to be who we used to be. We carry our old failures just in case we need to remind ourselves not to try it again. But God says something different in Isaiah 43:18. Forget the former things, do not dwell on the past. Not because the past didn't matter, but because it really doesn't belong in your suitcase anymore. And Paul says in Philippians 3:13, forgetting what lies behind and straining towards what is ahead. Now, Paul isn't talking about having amnesia. He's actually talking about gaining alignment. He's talking about direction. He's talking about momentum. And life only moves one way, and that's forward. You can't retrace your steps. You can't undo the trip. And you can't go back and repack the bag. But you can decide what you carry from this point on. And here's the truth. Some of us are exhausted, not because the road is hard, but because the bag is heavy. Think about that. If we've all taken wrong turns, we've all booked the wrong trip, and we've all ended up somewhere we really never intended to be. But God doesn't ask us to go back and try to fix the route or the path we took. He just asks us to trust Him with the next step. The path ahead actually might be smooth, or it could be bumpy, or completely unpaved. But it's still forward. And guess what? God is still there. Now, maybe someday, maybe it's today, we will learn something simple, that we don't have to stand at the baggage claim waiting for the old things to come back around. We can actually walk right past the carousel. We can leave that old suitcase circling around and around and around. We can step into the store of God's grace and pick up a new look and a new lease on life. Because God isn't trying to return your old baggage. He's trying to hand you a new identity. So, family, your fire starter as you go into this weekend and continue staying focused on not what you're going through, but going to, may you pack light. May you walk free. May you release what God never asked you to carry. And may you discover that the journey feels different when the bag is finally empty. This is The Faithful Sinners, and thank you very much for tuning in today. If you have enjoyed this episode, please do me a favor and hit that subscribe button. And make sure you share this episode on your own personal feed, as we all know someone who may need a little encouragement or direction and could possibly benefit from this message today. And for more inspirational moments, make sure you check out our many other episodes on YouTube at The Faithful Sinners or on our website, thefaithfulsinners.com. This is The Faithful Sinners, where we do not pretend to be perfect. We just simply try to be better than yesterday so we can all sin better together. Thank you for tuning into this episode of The Faithful Sinners, and get more inspiration on our website, thefaithfulsinners.com.